And welcome into Fantasy Football with Corey and Kyle. We're going to play another round of Would You Rather. We're going to do it with the running backs. So let's spin that wheel of bad handwriting that I've made, and let's see who our first player is going to be. First player, big spin, no whammies, is Jonathan Taylor. All right, and then we're going to play Would You Rather with bigger spin there. Who's that on? Kyren Williams. Okay, already spun the wheel. So we're going to play a little game of Would You Rather with Jonathan Taylor and Kyren Williams. Kyle, let's talk about Jonathan Taylor first. What do you think about this guy?
Jonathan Taylor is a stud, right? He's on an offense that plays to his strengths. You know, he's been killing, except last year he was hurt some, and he missed a few games this year, but still managed to finish, number 12 overall running back. The dude's just really, really good. And I think he does benefit from also having a running quarterback when he's healthy. So, I've always been a big fan of Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the running quarterback, and it's funny because when a running back like that gets a rushing quarterback, everyone just is like, oh, they're done. They're going to take all the runs and everything like that. And I'm a believer that actually it kind of helps the running back. It makes those linebackers pause that one more split second on any read play. So I feel like it helps the running back as long as that running back can stay healthy. Everyone thought, oh, Saquon Barkley might not do as good going in there with Jalen Hurts, and we've seen what he's been able to do. In fact, he's been able to stay more healthy now with the Eagles than he did with the Giants. And I think it's just the kind of offense you're running. So Jonathan Taylor, if Richardson is the quarterback, I feel like does get a little bit of benefit from that. But I also don't think Richardson can or will stay healthy unless he changes his style a little bit. But with that being said, Jonathan Taylor does have his own injury problems, and he missed 3 full games this past season. And I believe the season before that, he also missed quite a few games. 7 games? He played 10 games in 2023, 11 games in 2022. He's had a bit of an injury history here too. And I know this because I own him on a Dynasty team that we drafted in 2022, and I haven't gotten to play a full season with him yet, and it hurts me. So, go ahead.
A couple things there. 2023. Let's also remember he missed some games with an injury, air quotes, for those just listening, because he was also trying to get that new contract too. So we don't really know how many of those he was really hurt for. But then if you look at this year, like he missed those 3 games, he came back. Like he started the season really strong, missed a few games, came back, had kind of mixed results through the middle of the season, and then finished really, really strong. So when this guy is 100%, he is one of the best in the game. I also want to point out that even if Richardson's not healthy this year and Daniel Jones is starting, he's also a mobile quarterback. So I don't think you're going to see the drop-off in style of play as much. He's not as mobile as Anthony Richardson, but he's still mobile. You won't see that drop-off as much as – in the past when they've had other quarterbacks step in for those Richardson injuries. So, yeah.
I agree with that. And for everyone thinking, Daniel Jones, are you kidding me? We saw flashes of okayness. He's good enough to step in, especially in a backup quarterback role. But I also think just being at the Giants where they didn't have that much talent on the entire team didn't play well for Daniel Jones. There's more talent for the Colts. I think he's got more help there. And so I feel like Daniel Jones could even do pretty decent in there. I wouldn't be super surprised if Daniel Jones ended up overtaking Anthony Richardson at some point even if Anthony Richardson is healthy. If Anthony Richardson doesn't take that step forward, then Daniel Jones takes over anyways. All that to say, I think Jonathan Taylor, like you said, Kyle, to your point, that JT can be, he'll be fine with either one.
Well, and just one last thing here, we can move on to Kyren, but to me, and I have a friend that's a pretty diehard Colts fan that says the same thing. Like, I would prefer Daniel Jones to Anthony Richardson in that offense if it was me.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for Taylor's benefit, more for the receivers and the short passing game accuracy. But for me, I think he would probably do that team better.
Yeah, I actually think that, though, that plays in favor of JT too. You got a mobile quarterback, but then things can be spread out a little bit more. If you have to respect that throw, that passing game, it opens things up for the running back. Jonathan Taylor, Anthony Richardson doesn't really make that defense back up and respect that. So it does limit him just a bit on that, in my opinion. Also, the signing of Khalil Herbert this offseason, not a worry there. Herbert's going to be, but nothing that you should be worried about taking any work away from JT.
Facts.
Alrighty. And speaking of work being taken away, someone kind of relying on heavy workloads that we've always said is Kyren Williams. We've always said, man, this guy is a volume runner.
Yes.
Eyes on that kind of volume, and it's unsustainable. I know we talked about this last offseason. And then if that dude didn't come in as a workhorse again this year, dang it, he came in and had that same kind of workload this year. It was mind-boggling. I didn't suspect they would keep that up, and they did. It does help that he's only 24, so that probably helps a little bit too. But I think people expected Corum to take a little bit more of that workload, and he really didn't. And do you think he's more of a threat for some of that workload this year?
No, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're looking for later round running backs, maybe to build some depth behind Kyren, maybe take a little bit of the load off, just so they don't run him into the ground so fast. So that wouldn't surprise me. But one thing that I see about Kyren Williams, not only is he getting a ridiculous amount of volume, and catching quite a few passes on top of that run volume, but he only had 4 games that he played in. He missed 1 game at the end of the season, resting for the playoffs. But in the games he played in, he only had 4 where he didn't score a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's crazy, actually.
Yeah, he scores a lot of touchdowns. He scored 16 touchdowns on the season. That's nuts.
Yeah, it's just that's fantastic. Actually, I'm lying. There was only 3. He had a receiving touchdown in the one of them.
Yeah.
So anyways, like, it's just the dude scores, volume's there. That team is built for him to run in, and you'd love to have that in your fantasy player for sure.
Yeah, and for anyone who's wondering about his fumbling issues, he had 5 fumbles, 3 of them lost this year. But when you think over a season, a guy who is scoring you 16 touchdowns, I would take 6 points off of that, off of fumbles. I'm not worried about 6 points lost off of fumbles. I mean, what a joke, right? So we're talking about a guy with 1,300 rushing yards and 16 touchdowns. I'm not worried about 3 lost fumbles on the season. He could have lost all 5. I don't care.
Well, and the guy's super young. He's got time. You can fix fumbling issues. 2 guys that turned out to be really great that had fumbling issues, Tiki Barber, Adrian Peterson, both had fumbling issues and were able to get that corrected. I'm not saying he's on par with those 2 guys. I'm just saying it can be overcome. And, so.
Yeah, I feel like there's even more than that have had fumbling issues and have overcome. Not super worried about that. Even Zeke had a fumbling issue at one point, But
yeah, there was that one weird year.
He was wearing sleeves.
A little bit later in his first tenure with Dallas, where he started wearing long sleeve shirts. Yeah, and I never understood what was going on there. It's like, dude, you always wore belly shirts. Now you're wearing long sleeves and you can't hang on to the ball. What's going on?
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
All righty. So let's go ahead.
Punchline, jerk.
Let's go ahead and get a vote in here. We're gonna vote for both redraft and dynasty. We're going to do redraft first. We'll do it on the count that we always do. We'll hold up a 1 for Jonathan Taylor, a 2 for Kyren Williams, and then we'll discuss why we picked who we picked. Alrighty, first is redraft. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, and show. Alrighty, that's a Kyren Williams for both of us. It looked like we were just saying peace to each other. I don't know why my camera does this little balloon party now when we're celebrating. Let me see if it does it again. Yeah, that's fantastic. That's a 2 for both of us. Nope, it didn't. It didn't do it again. It just does it once. I don't know what that's.
That's so funny though. It's just random balloon party. Woo-hoo.
Yeah, random balloon party. I'll take it. Whatever. Anyway, so that's Kyren Williams for both of us. Why'd you pick Kyren Williams there, Kyle, on redraft?
Well, for me, it's all about the injury issues. Kyren Williams stayed healthy all year this year. And, we've already talked about Jonathan Taylor misses games every year. So that's a big part of it. The second part of it is better quarterback, better passing game they have to respect, less stacked boxes. So those two reasons alone and that volume. Jonathan Taylor also gets volume. So I feel like that's kind of a wash for those two there. But, mostly it's just availability, man. So far, you get more games every season out of Kyren than Jonathan.
Well, there's our good friend Professor always says, the best ability is availability, right? Exactly. And you're exactly right here. Jonathan Taylor has not been able to stay on the field, and that's worrisome. I also look at scoring opportunities, and I feel like the Rams offense is in scoring position more often, so there's more opportunities to score there than the Colts are. So until that Colts offense takes that little bit of a leap forward there and they prove that they can get down into scoring position more, I'm liking the Rams offense as a whole more. Also, it doesn't hurt. I mean, Kyren Williams, that volume, like you said, right? So in 2023, he only played in 12 games and he still finishes the number 7 overall running back that year, same as like this last year. He in 2024 he played 16 games, finishes number 7 overall. That's fantastic. So I'm taking that. I mean, they just use the crap out of him, and he gets quite a few receptions as well, receiving touchdowns. I just like him more there. Okay, got anything else on redraft before we go to Dynasty?
Nope.
Alrighty. Let's go ahead and do our Dynasty pick then, and we'll do it on the same count. Number 1 for Jonathan Taylor, number 2 for Kyren Williams. 1, 2, 3, and show. We're both Kyren Williams again. It's not very often that we're on the same page on both of the votes. Holy cow. But it's kind of everything I just said, right? Plus, Kyren Williams is 2 years younger. He's 24 as compared to JT being 26. How about you?
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's everything we just said, the availability factor. But then, like you said, 2 years younger at running back more than any other position is huge. 2 years at running back is a big deal. So, yeah, it's Kyren for me, and it's fairly easy to pick.
Yeah, I agree. The younger and more production is just an easy pick for me. So Kyren Williams over JT all day, every day. Sorry, JT, because I am a fan, so that's sucky. All righty, guys, that's going to do it for this week's Would You Rather. And until next time, we'll see you.
See you next time.